Are you thinking about making the move to Utah and you're looking for the perfect place to make home for you? Well, in this video, discover the top 10 fastest growing cities and neighborhoods where you might find the best new construction opportunities in the state of Utah in 2025. Now, most people when making the move here focus on the major areas, the really popular areas like Salt Lake City or maybe Provo or Ogden, but these areas are the ones that are seeing unprecedented growth. These are emerging areas that are really the most popular areas in the state that the vast majority of the people reaching out to me every single day are looking to make the move to. These are the areas that are fueling Utah's growth not only now, but also into the future. Now, with extensive experience in the Utah real estate market, I've put together this list using data, and I've curated this list to make sure that you know what the data says in terms of what are the areas that are seeing the most growth. Now, these high growth areas are growing for a very specific reason. They are the most popular hotspots that people are making the move to here in the state of Utah. And so we'll count down the top 10 fastest growing areas in this video, and I'm going to talk about not only what areas they are, but what is making them unique and so attractive for so many people to make the move here. So with that said, let's roll. Okay, starting off on the list, let's start with number 10, and we're gonna go right up north of Salt Lake City into the Ogden metropolitan area, and the city specifically that I'm talking about is West Haven. Now, just a short couple of weeks ago, I created a video and posted it here on my channel all about Ogden. Now, those talking points that I talked about in the Ogden video very much pertain to West Haven as well. It's a very quick drive from downtown Ogden over to West Haven. West Haven just sits on the western side of Interstate I-15, and it's super focused on growth because this area was just farmland just a short few years ago. These areas are now seeing so much new development and new jobs as this particular metropolitan area is growing and thriving and changing. One of my favorite things about West Haven is it still maintains really easy access into the city. You can still get into the city within 45 minutes, but you can also take advantage of the many job opportunities that are coming this way as well. So many new jobs are coming to the northern Utah area along the Wasatch Front in the Ogden metropolitan area. And if you live in West Haven, you're primed because that area is so incredibly close to the I-15 corridor and access to the city as well as all of the jobs. Okay, moving on, number 9 on the list, let's move down south to Salt Lake County. Now, I talk about South Jordan and Daybreak a lot here on my channel, but let's move just north of Daybreak and north of South Jordan, and let's talk about West Jordan. Now, it's kind of odd that West Jordan sits north of South Jordan, but it really comes down to why it was named this to begin with. Now, West Jordan was named West Jordan because it sits on the western side or the western edge of the Jordan River, and South Jordan, which came later, was called South Jordan because it sat south of West Jordan. So that kind of clarifies that. But specifically the western side of West Jordan, there's a new development there called Terrain that is a master planned community, and it's driving a lot of interest, and a lot of the growth that will be happening in this region in West Jordan is going to come from this and the surrounding developments, not only in 2025, but for many years to come. One of the things that I find so attractive about this particular area of West Jordan is the Mountain View corridor. The new freeway that's being built along the western bench of the Salt Lake Valley cuts right through this area, and it carries people not only from West Jordan north up into the city and the airport, but it's also just a quick 5 to 10 minute drive down south into Daybreak to take advantage of all of the amenities, the restaurants, the baseball park, the movie theaters, and everything that is popping up in downtown Daybreak. So if you want to live in an area where you can take advantage of all the things that Daybreak provides and offers without actually paying the higher price tag of living there, West Jordan just might be the place for you. All right, next up on the list, number 8, let's move down south into Utah County and talk about American Fork. American Fork sits north of Provo. It sits just a little bit southeast of Lehi, but it's really been a fast-growing area for many years, and it's starting to fill up. There's still some infill development, there's still some multifamily and townhome developments happening, but American Fork is quickly filling up, and the reason why it's so incredibly popular is it still feels like you have really easy access into Salt Lake City. It's kind of at that point, that threshold that so many many people put on in terms of a commute into the city at about 40 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake City with traffic. So American Fork, although it's still growing, is starting to fill up. And if you live in American Fork, you have really quick, easy access into Lehi and the many jobs, or down to Provo to the south. Regardless, you've got a lot of options if you live in American Fork. Okay, moving on, number 7, let's head back up north of Salt Lake City, just by about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and we're going north up to Syracuse. Syracuse sits on the northern edge of Davis County, right on the southern edge of Weber County, and Syracuse is a rapidly growing area. I take a lot of clients out every single week as they're looking at these different areas and discovering what they offer. Syracuse is pretty early on. In other words, a lot of the development is just kicking off. The new freeway, the West Davis corridor, is cutting along that western edge of that metropolitan area, and with that, it's fueling a lot of the development and the growth, both residential as well as commercial growth that's coming that way. Syracuse is up and coming. It may not be as far along as places maybe like Saratoga Springs, but in just a handful of years, this area will completely be changed. It's going to be one of those areas where you can also get more for the money, and I absolutely see a really great opportunity for appreciation in terms of real estate in these particular areas, and especially in an area like Syracuse. All right, number 6, let's go south of Provo to a city called Spanish Fork. Spanish Fork sits just about 15 minutes south of downtown Provo, and Spanish Fork is a really rapidly growing area, and I do believe that it's going to crack that top 10 list moving forward, not only in 2025, but for many, many years to come. There's still a lot of room for growth down in this area south of Provo. As the metropolitan area there starts to really widen and broaden, this area is primed for a ton of growth, and it's going to be the future of where Utah County is continuing to move. Now, one of the downsides to living in Spanish Fork is, for many people, it feels like just a little bit too far of a stretch if you do need quick and easy access into downtown Salt Lake City. But if that's not for you, if you're working in Provo, or maybe you're working in Lehi, Spanish Fork could be an absolutely perfect place for you. All right, number 5, we're back up north into Salt Lake County, right in the southwest corner of the Salt Lake Valley, and that's in the city of Herman. Now, Herman sits just south of South Jordan and south of Daybreak. Herman's a great place. It's actually a place that I've owned 2 homes myself. I really have a soft spot in my heart for Herman. I think it offers so much, and it gives you a lot of easy access into Salt Lake City, as well as Lehi and different areas where you might work or play. It also gives you really cool views of the Salt Lake Valley and the mountains to the east, especially if you live up on the bench just a little bit. It really does provide a really cool way of life. And similar to other areas like West Jordan, which I already talked about, as well as South Jordan, the new freeway, the Mountain View corridor, cuts right through Herman. That new freeway is really going to provide a lot of easy access, not only into Salt Lake City, but the Salt Lake City International Airport and all of the different places where the best jobs are going to be located, whether that be Lehi or Draper or Salt Lake City or elsewhere. And I've got to be honest, it's really funny to me because when I first moved to Herman back in 2002, everybody thought I was crazy for moving to an area where there were only a few thousand residents. And today, with well over 50,000 residents, Herman is thriving and it's no longer out there. It's definitely part of the Salt Lake City metropolitan area and provides the best that you would be looking for in terms of access for all the things that are really going to be pulling your attention in one way or the other. Okay, number 4, let's go down south, just south of Herman into Utah County, and let's talk about Eagle Mountain. Eagle Mountain has a lot of things to love, a lot of things to offer. It sits west of Saratoga Springs and Lehi, and Eagle Mountain is one of those areas that's going to fuel the growth in Utah and Utah County for many years. There's a large valley that sits just on the western side of Utah Lake, and it's kind of encapsulated by this other little mountain range that separates Utah Lake from the other mountains to the west. And honestly, there's a ton of room for growth out in this area that we know as Eagle Mountain. Eagle Mountain does limit you in terms of access into Salt Lake City, as it does take a further drive. It's adding another 15 minutes to your commute. And so I do see that most people that are making the move to Eagle Mountain, they're not commuting to work in downtown Salt Lake City. They have jobs elsewhere. Maybe their jobs take them just throughout Utah County or maybe into Salt Lake County, but Salt Lake City itself is just a little bit too far away. But I do think that the lower prices in Eagle Mountain and the value that you receive in terms of the land is going to fuel its growth for many, many years to come. Okay, we're now talking about the top 3. Number 3 is South Jordan. Now, just because I live here doesn't mean that it's the only and the best place to live. In fact, that's why it's at number 3. It's still very, very popular in terms of the growth that we're seeing in South Jordan. And the neighborhood that's driving that growth is, of course, Daybreak. Now, since the inception of Daybreak 20 years ago, 1 in 4 homes that have been built in the Salt Lake City metropolitan area have been in Daybreak specifically. And with it just being a little over halfway completed at this point, there's still a lot of room for growth in this area, and South Jordan specifically is seeing a ton of new things coming with respect to a new baseball stadium, with respect to movie theaters and bowling alleys and restaurants and office space. There's a lot of things coming and happening right into the heart of downtown Daybreak and in South Jordan. These areas are also serviced by a light rail system that extends all the way from the city out into the suburbs, and you can literally hop on a light rail train and ride from Daybreak all the way into the city or the University of Utah or throughout the Salt Lake Valley, which really adds to the benefits of living in this particular place with walkable amenities as well as so many cool things right in your backyard in terms of venues and events and things to do and restaurants that are right there in the neighborhood. It really does leave many people to wonder, why would I live anywhere else? And for many of us daybreakers, we might think to ourselves, well, there are only 2 types of people. There are people that either live in Daybreak or there are people that want to live in Daybreak. Now, that's a little bit of a stretch. I understand many people don't want to live in a higher density area like Daybreak, but for some people, myself included, it's really appealing because of all of the amenities and the community vibe that you get by living there. And in terms of South Jordan's future development and future growth, it is being fueled by not only the 2 new freeways in Bangerter Highway and the Mountain View Corridor, but I-15 runs right on the eastern edge of South Jordan as well. And so with 3 major highways and really great infrastructure, it provides you all the access you'll need to get into the airport or the city or to get anywhere in the Salt Lake Valley that you want to go. And honestly, I've got to say from personal experience, having lived in many cities, South Jordan is my favorite place I've ever lived. But I will say, if there were one city that would pull me out of South Jordan, I think it's going to have to be number 2 on this list. Okay, so what is number 2? Number 2 is Saratoga Springs. Saratoga Springs sits just south of Herman in South Jordan in Utah County, and the growth that's happening here is absolutely incredible. New developments are popping up everywhere in Saratoga Springs, along with the commercial focus right along the corridor that cuts right through the heart of Saratoga Springs. And with the new freeway that's being built right into and through Saratoga Springs, a recent announcement in terms of extending that freeway all the way down to the south end of Saratoga Springs on the west side of Utah Lake is really appealing for people to try to get into the city or get into their job wherever they may need to go. And even though this area has grown so incredibly fast and traffic right now is kind of bad, it's definitely looking bright in terms of its future, because in just a couple of short years, the infrastructure here is going to make it that much more appealing. So if you're looking for a place that has all of the amenities, that's up and coming, that's further along than some of the other areas that I've mentioned, so it does have everything you need right there in the city, Saratoga Springs might just be the spot for you. All right, last up, number 1 is Lehi. Lehi sits right next to Saratoga Springs, right there at the northern edge of Utah County. This is the tech hub of the state of Utah in terms of Silicon Slopes and all of the jobs that are coming here. Lehi also has so many other things happening, including advancements in the healthcare network here with a new hospital, as well as really cool attractions like Thanksgiving Point. If you don't know what Thanksgiving Point is, you're gonna have to check it out when you come. There's a lot of really cool things for families especially, along with a world-class golf course. Lehi has so much to offer right there at the northern edge of Utah County and is well positioned for the future in terms of easy access into Salt Lake City, as well as the Salt Lake City International Airport and countless jobs. This is one of those really incredible areas in the state that is continuing to grow and thrive, and it will continue to fill up for the next handful of years until this area is completely built out. Now, Utah's landscape is rapidly evolving, with these 10 cities leading the charge in terms of development and new construction. And like I always say, choosing the right area is crucial and paramount to finding happiness in whatever place you choose to make your home. I think that these cities could definitely be a really good option for most people, and they are definitely worth considering. And so if you're considering making the move here, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Reach out to me. You can find my information in the description. You can also book a video call with me and we can connect one-on-one and make sure that I'm answering your specific questions to be able to guide you here and make sure that we find the perfect spot just for you. And if you're looking to learn more about life in Utah, check out this playlist next. And until next time, thanks.